This is my second attempt recording this video. The first time I went through and I talked for like 30 minutes straight, but I still somehow managed to not get the points across that I really wanted to address. And so this time around, I hope that it all goes well. Alrighty guys, welcome back to another episode on Forged from Iron. Today we're going to be wrapping up this video series of introductory into the gym. And to do so, I'm going to be walking through with you guys how exactly to go about designing a program. Now we're going to cover the three main types of programs in today's video: a push-pull-leg split, a bro split, quote unquote, and a full body split. Here we're going to be taking basically all of the information I've laid out for you guys in the previous videos regarding exercises for training specific body parts, and we're going to bring it all together. Now here is where we actually figure out what we're going to be doing while we're at the gym. And so diving right into it, we have our push-pull legs split program here. Basically this divides each training day into three categories. We have our push movements, our pull movements, and our leg movements. And this is because the push muscles work synergistically with each other in these movements, as we've covered in the previous videos addressing anatomy as well, and with the pull movements where these muscles are going to want to naturally work together. So starting off with our chest, shoulders, and triceps day being our push day, we start off with a very heavy compound movement, the bench press. Now each day we're going to want to aim for around 1 to 2, maybe 3 compound movements, but 3 is more so for full body workouts, and I'll get into why later in this video. However, since we're focusing on our chest and shoulders mainly for these compound movements, we choose the bench press and shoulder press to start off this day. Now, keep in mind that these programs aren't necessarily set in stone for you. You can change these around to however you would like your workouts to be programmed. Theoretically, you could also technically take these exact examples I'm giving you. However, these are intended to be just examples, and you don't have to stick to it 100%. I'm just kind of teaching you guys the guidelines of what goes into designing an effective program. And here, since we're going to typically start off relatively heavier, we would have lower reps with higher amounts of sets. And so our rep schemes and set schemes would be something like this, where we have 5x5s, 5x8s, or 4x10 to 12 if you still want to do higher volume. That is up to you as to what you would like to do in your training. I personally really love 5x5s for this bench press example specifically. And then after that, we have a couple more chest movements to isolate and really focus on getting the higher volume training in with the chest. So we have dips and flies, all at a higher volume rep scheme where we have about 4 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions. After that, we're going to be targeting the triceps since they are assisting muscles in pushing movements. And because of that factor, the triceps will actually have been involved through things such as the bench press and the shoulder press already. However, we're still going to want to do some direct training on them. And so we have just a couple of exercises here, a push down / pull down maybe, or you could throw in extensions over there, also an overhead extension. Make sure you include some overhead exercises in your triceps training. Again, as you can see, these are all at a higher volume rep scheme. Generally, the rule of thumb is going to be to aim for anywhere around 18 to upwards of 25 sets per body part per training day. And so here we see we have a total of 30 sets. There we go. That looks a bit more neat. We have 30 sets, and the majority of them are invested into our chest movements. As you can see here, if we were to do a 5-set rep scheme for our bench press and shoulder press, that would translate into 18 sets for our chest if we were to do 4 sets on the higher volume exercises, which is just kind of around that sweet spot. And then we're further hitting 12 more sets of triceps, which is fine if that doesn't meet the 18 sets per day, as we're going to be training this at a high enough frequency, basically meaning that we're hitting the muscle twice in a week. So we're going to maximize the amount of muscle growth we see there, because the muscles will take anywhere from 48 to 72 hours to recover, which means you can train it twice a week and still see progression without overtraining is what I mean. Next up on our pull day, we have our deadlift and rows as our heavy compound movements. And here we see another option with our deadlift to go even lower reps to really load up that weight, because the deadlift is a movement where we can really focus on the strength aspect of the exercise. So if you wish, you could do something like a 5x3 even, or any of the other rep schemes will still work for this exercise. After that, since deadlifts are very taxing, I usually don't recommend doing like a 5x5 for rows. After that, we're going to want to still focus on heavier rows, however, a little higher reps in the rep scheme than like a 5x5. After that, we've got a couple more back exercises to finish the day off. We've got some lat pull downs, or you could do a pull up if you wish, at a 4x8 to 12 rep scheme. Again, the rest of the day is going to be focusing mainly more on higher volume, except for the exception of shrugs here, where you can do something super heavy, like maybe a 5x8 rep scheme, or just your normal 4x8 to 12 for volume, depending on if you are doing shrugs for a stronger, heavier shrug, or if you're doing it to further develop your traps more. It depends on your focus, and you can shift your approach to the exercise dependent on what you would like to focus on. After that, we've got our face pulls. Hit the rear delts in there, get the rotator cuff and the rhomboids. You want to make sure that you don't neglect and overlooked a specific portion of the back specifically, because the back is a huge part of your body and it's easy to miss some of the smaller muscles. Usually when we think back, we just think lats, lats, and lats. After that, we finish off with some bicep curls, since they are the assisting muscle in the pull movements, and maybe an alteration of bicep curls just to target the arms a little bit at a higher volume rep scheme once again. And then for our legs, we would do a squat, king of all exercises. The same rep ranges for a deadlift apply here that are applicable. After that, we dive into some lunges and leg curls or extensions at a higher volume. I just realized that I should have another column here rather than have it at top for the total amount of sets per day. However, I'll just do it like this, where you want to aim to anywhere around 18 to 25, and remember that's per body part per training day. So in a week, this split would work something like this. Since you have 6 days on, you would have one rest day, and so you could place it in the middle and do something like this. However, due to the nature of this, you would be training a lot of days in a row from Friday to Monday here, for example, assuming you started training on Monday. And so what a lot of people will do is they'll throw in an extra rest day after their second leg day. So then this becomes an 8-day rotation. However, for simplicity's sake, and since I'm using the days of the week, this is kind of what it would look like. Just know that you can put a extra rest day after the leg day here. Moving on to the bro split. Now, this is a program where each day, rather than doing something like a pull or push day where we're utilizing all those different muscles that work together, we're going to be mainly targeting just one. And so we would have a chest day here. The difference is that we have an incline press rather than shoulder press, because we don't have to focus on the shoulders as much on this day, since we're designating it specifically to train our chest. And so because of that, we're able to get in another super heavy compound to maximize chest growth. And then I've added optional triceps and biceps training on these days to make it kind of like the push-pull program. Now, the reason I've done this, and I've said it's optional, is because this allows us to get our frequency of arm training. Since we're not doing them on our push and pull days, we only have one designated arm day in the week. And so if we just add a little bit of arm exercises on to the days that it works synergistically with, triceps on chest days and biceps on back days, we're able to take advantage of all the growth we can as we're getting that training frequency in. Now, the similar rules apply. We go heavier rep schemes on the compounds and higher volume for the rest of the day. The reason for that is because you likely won't be able to go at a super heavy load throughout your whole workout, and if you do, it's not sustainable over the long term because you'll just tire yourself out. And so eventually at one point you're going to want to switch to a higher volume of exercise so you can focus on getting that hypertrophy. Keep in mind that the amount of muscle you put on does not 100% correlate to how heavy of a weight you are lifting. It's about how you lift that weight, rather. Now we see our shoulder day, where we're starting off with a shoulder press since that's our main focus. And because of that, we have similar rep schemes once again to the heavier compound movements. However, here's when we see a difference when we approach the bench press second. Now, you see I've taken out the 5x5 option here because it's likely that you're going to be drained from training your shoulders first thing and then proceeding to the bench press. So right off the bat, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage to be too fatigued to be able to lift the same amount of weight on the bench as you usually do. Second of all, it's the second time you're hitting chest in the week since you've already hit it on, let's say, Monday, for example. So because of that, we're going to want to lighten up the weight a little bit on the bench press relative to what we do on our specifically chest day. Now, I've thrown in the bench press here because the shoulders are also trained while you're doing the bench press, and so this allows us to get that training frequency of the chest in. Following up, we have some side lateral raises and some rear delt flies. This is just some high volume delt work right here. Nothing too special. You can throw whatever exercises you want for your shoulders in here. However, I've personally just chosen these two. You could also further include even more chest exercises should you choose to, because this would be the day that you want to throw in that chest training in to get that 2 times per week frequency. All right, here's arguably the most fun day in the program and where it actually gets its name from: arm day. Now, we're starting off with close grip bench, since this is pretty much going to be the only compound movement that we see when it comes to arm training. And our rep schemes are usually going to be something focused on volume decently. What I mean by that is we're not going to see something like a 5x5 where we're training for a lot of strength. After that, we have a biceps curl, again 4 by 8 to 12. And it's just your typical combo of arm exercises. You can choose to substitute any one of these triceps or biceps exercises for one that you wish. However, as you can see, this day is mainly volume focused. There's not that much heavy lifting going on your arm day. Finally, we have our leg day, where we start off with the squat, again, king of all leg exercises, as always will be, and our typical compound movement rep schemes as you guys have been seeing. Following up, we have the deadlift, because as you can see here, I've added back onto the leg day because I believe it's crucial to get that 2 times training in here. However, if you noticed, the legs actually don't have that training frequency in this program, so that's why there is a flaw with this and why many people will prefer the push-pull leg split. However, for a beginner, most people will start off with a bro split, as it is the easiest to understand, makes the most sense. And for me personally, I started off with a bro split and it got me into lifting. So this might just be the little push that you need to get you into the gym and start working out. Anyways, I digress. Moving on, we have some leg exercises: lunges, leg curls, extensions, higher volume, and then your typical back exercises thrown on basically from your back day, or you could choose to mix it up with some different exercises if you wish. Just know that these are back exercises that you would want to put in here, for example. Now, for this split, you have 5 days on where you have to be in the gym throughout the week. So that leaves us with 2 rest days. You could really schedule it however you like. You could do something like this where you have 2 days on, 1 day off. However, after that, on your last day, it would actually be 3 days in a row before you have a day off. Or what you could do, let's say maybe you start out training on Monday, but you want to take the weekends off because weekends is just, it's the weekend. Come on, go have some fun. You could theoretically train 5 days in a row and rest 2 days, as so long as you're assuring that each muscle is given 48 to 72 hours before you hit it again. What I mean by that is, for example, I would not train chest and then shoulders back to back. I would allow some space in between when you're training both of them. Finally, we move on to the full body split. Now, here is where we're going to want to target as many compound movements as we can without overtraining ourselves to the point where we're just way too tired to even function. We're going to mainly be hitting the 3 big lifts every training day, and that being the bench press, deadlift, and squat. The reason for this is because those 3 in combination just target 99% of your whole body, and allows you to, after you do those exercises, use the rest of the day to focus on specific body parts of your choice. So for example, you could target a lagging body part. Maybe let's say your shoulders aren't as developed as the rest of your physique or what have you. Maybe it's your arms or something. Anyways, regardless of what it is, you could throw in like a biceps curl after to bring your biceps up in your full body workouts after you hit these. Because of the fact that you're able to train everything in one day, it gives you more options as to what to do. So long as you're hitting something like these 3 lifts where they're big, heavy compounds that recruit a bunch of muscles that work together. Granted, there is obviously always one that the compound targets the most. So we can utilize that. Knowing this, we can have one day out of our 3 where we're focusing in on heavier chest training. So we start off with the bench press and we do like a 5x5. And then maybe the next day we want to focus on our back training. And so instead we start off with the deadlift and do a 5x5. And that is the reason why I've taken it out of the other 2. If you see the pattern here in the rep schemes, where I've excluded the 5x5s from the next 2 lifts, because at that point you're likely going to be too tired to be able to perform at such a high capacity, and so you're going to want to shift into slightly more and more volume as you get tired throughout the workout. And that's why it's crucial to switch up the order in which you do these throughout the week. This is to ensure that you target each muscle equally and you don't just go heavy on chest all the time to the point where your chest is overdeveloped and let's say you never started off with squats and so you never did that heavy 5x5 set of legs, which is detrimental to your overall physique. So let's do another example as to how to fill out these blank exercises after you tackle the big 3. Let's say maybe your shoulders are lagging, and so you want to throw in an exercise that trains your shoulders a lot, that being the shoulder press. Very good exercise for your shoulders. Another compound movement, keep in mind, I would probably do something like throw it in on my heavy leg day in this program, specifically if I were doing this program. And so I would be starting off with a squat, and then 5x5s, then you do your bench press, deadlift, 5x8s or something, or 4x10 to 12s. Now, the reason why bench press is second here is because that gives us a little bit of rest to then do our shoulder press, where we're going to recruit the chest a little bit, and so we don't want it to be extremely exhausted right after a bench press. Doing the deadlift in between will give us a little bit of resting room. And then here you could throw in something else, like maybe some lateral raises if we're using the shoulder example. So that's where a full body split kind of comes into advantage, is that it's one of the more variable programs that you can choose to do. However, these training days are going to be very hardcore. They're going to be intense. Another advantage of this program is that you only have to work out 3 days a week. And so this might be something for those that are very busy and can't guarantee themselves in the gym at least 4 to 6 days a week. So this may be the best option for you in terms of scheduling. As you can see here, we could have 1 day on, next day off, and so on and so forth until our last day, and then we get 2 days off. So we have 4 rest days here. And again, you can reorganize this to whatever works for you. Alrighty guys, that's been it for me today. I hope that you guys are now ready to go out, craft your own program, heck, even take mine completely if you wish, so long as you get to the gym and start working towards your goals. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to this video series. I hope it was of help to you. There are many resources on the internet for things regarding working out, should you need them. You could also reference this channel again anytime you need. I just hope that this propels you in your fitness journey. And that's it from me. Peace out.